What's good, YouTube? Coda Prophecy here, back with another Jump Force video for you guys. Now, the beta's over, and I told you guys in my last Jump Force, like, kind of mini review video that I was going to do a full one after the beta is over, and, you know, this is it. Now, I've had, like, a lot more time and a lot more things to, like, look at and think over in terms of, like, how the beta functioned and, like, how certain characters were, the graphics, you know, everything about the game, everything. So, sit back, sit tight, and we're gonna get into this review. Alright, you guys. Now, the first thing I'm going to be talking about in terms of the game is the graphics. Now, like I said a couple videos ago, me personally, I'm not the hugest fan of the graphics, just because like I said, the graphics don't look bad at all. It's just like certain things about like certain things in the game kind of bug me with the graphics, like in terms of certain textures and like certain characters faces and certain character models sometimes. But for the most part, like in motion, in game, like when you're actually playing, like the stages and stuff, they look pretty. The characters in motion, they look decent enough. So it's like nothing. It's not like the graphic. Like I said, the graphics, like, they look good for how the game is. You know, there's some things, like I said, like certain textures and stuff that could be a little like tweaked or whatever. Like Kurama, for instance, when Naruto uses his ultimate, the Kurama, the texture's a little bit too much. Like they ain't have to do all that. Like I understand why they ain't have to. Like, could have left that alone. But anyways, like I said, in movement, in terms of like in game, the graphics look decent. The graphics look alright. I mess with them. And like I said, in terms of like stage presentation and like ultimate presentation, all that, all the cinematics and like the intros and everything, all that looks amazing in my opinion. Everything looks great. It looks cool. I mess with it heavy. There's nothing really like too game breaking in terms of the graphics that I really have a problem with. You know, there is some like graphical glitches here and there with certain characters. Like I've had instances where Rukia, when she would use her ult, like her hair would just disappear and like, or like it would just go morph inside of her face or stuff like that. Or like certain characters, like in certain characters during their Clash intro interactions, like their hair would disappear or certain things would happen. But like I said, it's only in beta. You know, those things could be fixed, those things could be tweaked. And like I said, it's just, you know, certain things, that's certain little minor things, nothing game breaking, but certain minor things that you catch, you know. So yeah, moving on, in terms of like the gameplay, the movement and everything, the game feels amazing to play. It's hella fun to play. The movement is really good. The movement is fluid. The game is so like fast paced. It's not like super fast paced, because there are points where it's like it's slowed down and you and your opponent are just at a standstill, like looking at each other. But for the most part, like during fighting and during like movement, it's really like the movement feels fluid. There's nothing clunky about it. Like in terms of like sidestepping, combos, everything moves really quickly and really good in like sequence and everything. The only thing I really have a problem with in terms of like when it comes to the movement is there's this motion blur over like the characters, and it's like you can mostly notice it like in the lobby. You can like see, like when you're running, there's this motion blur across everything, and I don't understand why. Hopefully like in the full game there's an option to turn that off, or like hopefully they turn that down a little bit, because like I said, the gameplay, like when the gameplay does speed up, there's a lot of things moving at once, and like that motion blur really can like, I can see certain people kind of getting like motion sickness or things like that from the motion blur. So that's something they really gotta either give you the option to turn it off, or turn it off themselves, or turn it down or something, because that motion blur, you kind of wild. I don't know what they doing. Now in terms of like the combat system itself, the combat system, to be honest, to me is fairly easy to pick up. You know, you got your basic square and triangle attack buttons, X's to jump, circle to grab, and then you got your basic, you know, R1 to block, L1 to dash, you know. And then L2 to L2 to assist and tag out. Now, my main problem with that, with the combat system, is that same tag and assist thing. I hope there's an option to like switch your tag and assist buttons from just L2, because there's holding it. First off, my main problem is I wouldn't have a problem with it if they made it to where holding it swapped you out and tapping it was just, you know, for the assist. But they made it so like if you tap it, you switch out, and holding it is the assist, and that's kind of like I don't really like that, because in terms of like if you're in like a scramble situation in a match, you want to call out your support. Obviously, your first instinct is, oh, let me just tap the support button. But if you tap the support button, you're gonna switch characters, and the game has this thing where sometimes where you want to call a support, you would tap the button or hold the button, but the support wouldn't come out, but you would switch characters, and it I don't know, it has this weird thing where if you get hit, or if your support gets hit, it switches you to the support for some reason. I don't know what that is. Like, it's happened to me a couple times, and I've never like knew what it was. Like, it's kind of weird, but that's one thing. So I would say like maybe try and like make an option for you to like swap what the assist and the tag buttons are, or something. Like, that whole system needs a little bit, I don't know, it's kind of weird to me. Also, there's also this part of the game where it's like whatever you're doing at the end of a round, for some reason it'll carry on into the next round. I don't know if that was just like a beta glitch or whatever. So like, say if you're like running at the end of the round, like you kill somebody but you're running or whatever, at the end of the at the start of the next round, it'll start you off running while the other person's standing still. I don't know what that is. I think like it's supposed to reset to where both people are just at a standstill, but for some reason it has it to where like the other person is like running or like guarding or doing whatever, and I don't know what that is. But yeah, aside from those two things, the combat system, to be honest, the combat was really, felt really nice. It gave me like Storm 4 type vibes, like not even Storm 4, just Storm games in general. It gave me the vibes of like Storm games. Like, I found myself, like when I was playing it, I found myself using a lot of like tactics I used to use when I played Storm, and they kind of worked, like they kind of just carried over and worked in this game. And it just gave me that old feel of like I was playing a Storm game, even though it's not a Storm game. But I don't know, like it just felt like a familiar, you know. It just gave me that familiarity in the gameplay, and I really liked it. You know, it gave me something to relate the game to and make it easier, you know, and play with. Even though the game itself, like I said, the game itself is really easy to pick up in terms of like the gameplay and like the controls and everything. So it shouldn't be, if you're new to like arena fighting games, it shouldn't be hard for you to pick up at all. The meter systems and everything you might have to get used to a little bit, especially in terms of like the dodging mechanics and all that. It's a whole different meter for that you might have to get used to. But besides from that, you know, everything else fairly easy to pick up. And the last thing I wanted to talk about, which is probably the most important thing that one of my biggest worries for this game, because, you know, Bandai, was the netcode. Now, the netcode in the game is really, really good. Like, it's really good, to be honest. I have not found like, it's one of those things where it's like when you even if you find somebody has a decent connection, the match is gonna run super smooth. If you find somebody with a like even a under like if their connection isn't the best, but it's still like stable enough, you know, the matches are still gonna run fairly good, like for the most part. The only thing is like if your connection is really bad though, like it can't, the game can't handle like really doo-doo bad connections. Like, you can't be playing this game from the back of Walmart or McDonald's or wherever else y'all get y'all trash Wi-Fi from. Some of y'all, I'm sorry, some of y'all Wi-Fi, y'all, they not it, dog. The game cannot support bad Wi-Fi like that, because it'll get to the point where like the gameplay won't only just slow down, it'll stop entirely. Like, the game itself will turn into a slideshow if you're fighting somebody with a really bad connection. And like, I've had 1 or 2 matches go to the point where like it would stop in like that that slideshow fashion, start again, and then stop entirely, and everything would just stop, and then the whole match would crash. Like, if you have a really bad connection, it'll just freeze the match and just crash the match entirely. But like I said, that's only happened like a couple times, so I don't know what it was, but the game can't handle like really bad connection. If you have a really bad connection, the game it's not gonna do it. It's not gonna happen. But if you have a really good connection or a decent connection in general, like, it'll run super smooth, fairly well. Like basically no problems at all. I barely had like delay issues or anything when I've matched into like really good matches. Even when like the laggy matches I've had, like there were barely any delay. I've barely experienced any delay issues. I've heard other people have delay issues, but for the most part, the connection is really good. When you find somebody with a decent connection, it's really good. Like the netcode is really, it's amazing. It's amazing. Now, one thing I forgot to write down, but I did want to mention the lobby system. The lobby in the game, to be honest, like it's cool. You know, there's a bunch of different shops, a bunch of different moods and a bunch of different things. You know, they have clan moods, which I didn't even know there was gonna be clans in the game. But you know, you got clans in the game. You hit up your friends. Your friends start like a fight club or something. That's cool. They got missions in the game, so hopefully that's gonna be something for like learning all the different characters and stuff. That's gonna be amazing. And then they have obviously your regular shops for buying custom clothes for your characters, I'm guessing, and then everything else. So the lobby system is fairly thought out, and it's fairly big. You know, a lot of people can be in there, and there's a lot of different things to do in the lobby, and I really appreciate that. You know, it's not just a dead lobby system. You know, so that's cool. But when it comes to my final thoughts on the game, I'm really messing with Jump Force heavy. Like Jump Force is probably one of the best anime games I've played. And this is just in terms of the beta, but for me personally, it's probably been one of the best games I've played, but the best anime games I've played since the Storm series in a minute. You know, it's definitely gonna be a day one cop. Definitely gonna be a day one cop, and I'm definitely looking forward to playing it. It's gonna be like the first anime game of next year, so hopefully, you know, that just, you know, it only goes up from there, because anime games in 2018 have not been the best. I'm not gonna lie to you. I think Fighters has probably been the peak of anime games in 2018, man. Fighters is alright, don't get me wrong, but for it to be the peak of 2018 after all the anime games that came out this year, it's like, come on, dog. But 2019, we started off with we started off with Jump Force as like the main anime game, and it's only gonna go up from there, I hope. So yeah. But like I said, Jump Force, fire game, heat, copping it day one. Let me know what you guys think about Jump Force, or what you guys thought if you did play the beta. Let me know what you guys thought of it down in the comment section down below. If you guys liked the video, make sure to hit both a like and subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. That's gonna be it from me. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'm out. So